Okay, excited to be here. I'm Haakon, working for Spring and First, and this is the first podcast we are hosting. Exciting times ahead. With me today, I have Milad. Welcome.
Thank you. Very good to be here with you, as every day.
Yeah,
So
it's every day now.
It's every day now.
That's great. You want to start off with talking a bit about yourself and your
Yes.
journey in Spring and
Absolutely.
First?
Around 4 or 5 years ago, we started investing in early stage startups in crypto. So we were part of these community-driven funds where we could sort of pool funds together with other individuals and then invest in the seed rounds, private rounds. And sort of we made hundreds of investments, me and some of my co-founders. And what we noticed is that it's pretty hard to keep track of all your investments. So you have all these different investments on different chains. All the different investments have different vesting schedules, so you didn't really know when you'd get tokens. And at that time, you know, one launch could be, let's say, once a token launch, it might be 50x, you know what I mean, or 30x. And so by the time you notice you have gotten an unlock, it might have gone down to 10x or 5x, right? So like time was very sensitive when new projects launched. It still sort of is. And yeah, that's sort of what made us build Spring. It was difficult to manage our portfolios, our personal portfolios, our vesting schedules, knowing how many tokens you were supposed to get. All of this was managed in spreadsheets, and it was becoming a big headache. And then we started to notice that it wasn't just us, like as investors, who had these issues. It was also the sort of investment community managers who struggled with the same thing, right?
Mm.
So you can imagine I'm just one individual who has, let's say, 30 investments, but that manager is managing 500 investors, which he again has to send tokens to. So we started realizing that the pain point was even bigger for them. And then as we were building a technical solution for ourselves, we got interest from them. And now, 4 years later, Spring has many clients. Some of the biggest VC firms in Web3 use Spring. We have over $400 million raised. We have over 200,000 users. So it's sort of grown to this core infrastructure for the private market.
That's amazing, and what a journey it has been. I remember when I started at Spring some years ago, and I was like, oh, it's possible to actually invest before it's on spot, before it's on these big exchanges. And that was just mind-blowing to me, seeing like actually democratizing access to the private market, because that has been such a difficult thing to do because it's been locked out for these retail investors, only getting access for these big VCs. So it's been amazing helping all of these over 200,000 investors investing so early, and giving those access to these early rounds been truly amazing.
I think most people don't realize also that, you know, these early stage communities have existed for so long. You know what I mean? Many of, not only the ones on Spring, you have had Prima Block, you've had many like platforms that have done early stage investments for regular people. It's just that they have struggled to sort of get mass adoption. And right now, platforms like Legion, Echo, and Spring obviously make it possible for regular people to invest alongside the same rounds of angels and VC funds. And this is sort of the bigger that pool gets, the more companies we have like this, the more we can sort of make the early stage market more equitable, more fair. I mean, in the end, it doesn't always really make sense how it is that some people buy at $1 and others have to buy at 100.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
and you have had some good early stage investments. What's the best investments?
Yeah, so
you've
I
done?
would say well, probably my best investments were in the like DeFi summer days, Uniswap days. That was not really early stage investments like in seed rounds, but it was more when Uniswap just came out. Very few projects were launching on Ethereum at that time, like launching on Uniswap. So we were in Telegram, and there was this Telegram bot that sort of fed every single project that launched into the group, right? So you can imagine every 5 minutes, and the frequency like 3 to 5 minutes. So you didn't have, like right now, you have thousands of projects launching every 10 seconds, right? But then it was like 3 to 5 minutes. And then in Etherscan, where they sort of register or whatever, they have to add their website, they had to add their name. So you're sort of looking at this bot feeding information, and then you are just waiting for like something that doesn't say dick token or mega cat or something. And then suddenly we saw something like Yearn Finance, you know what I mean? And then you just click the website, yearn.finance, or you have to go to Google Advanced Search. You sort of check if they have Medium posts. That was really the thing. Like if they had a website, it was an indicator, because at that time we were not very knowledgeable, right?
You searched it up and it was André Connier season.
Yeah, exactly. That was pretty nuts. Obviously, our strategy was to get in and out quite quickly. But I think in 2017, we got to know Ethereum. In 2020, got more familiar with altcoins and with sort of DeFi. And then I think since then, it's just been a journey of, now that I know all of these altcoins, I want to figure out how do I access them early, right? And so, yeah, that's how that journey continued.
Let's start off with a bit of history of Spring and how we got here. That's kind of an exciting journey. How has it been? Like, Spring has been around for like 4 years now, raised over, you said, over $400 million, over 200,000 investors. How has it been scaling Spring to what it is today? And have you seen any issues scaling it today? And what do you think about that?
Yeah, so I think it's a good question. Spring, initially it was just a B2B. First it was solving our pains, and then it became a B2B product, right? It was, how do you manage a cap table of 800 people? And then it's like calculating how many tokens those 800 people will get. And then the next step is, okay, now you have a vesting starting. Now you have to send tokens to those people, right? So you have to have a distribution module. And then obviously after that, you have to have management. So like the sort of investors also need to track how many tokens they've received. They need to get an email, right? And then we started to see other problems in the space, which is, for example, the OTC trading desks. So in how it worked with a lot of these groups is you had an OTC channel in Telegram, and then let's say you had an allocation, you invested in a seed round, you wanted to sell it, you just made a listing, want to sell $1,000 worth of X project, and then I had to reach out to you, manually negotiate. We had to get the manager of the group, and then it was this slow manual process that could take like up to a week. Maybe the price changes, all these variables. And that's when we saw the opportunity to also build something to solve that and automate that, right? So it was more not trying to build a product. It was more looking at the existing problems that we have experienced ourselves, and then figuring out how to solve them. And now we sort of, after 2, 3, 4 years of building, it's actually weird, but it's sort of now we can start focusing on how do we scale these things, because one thing is to create the base layer solution. You know, the other thing is how do you make something that scales, something that has great UX, something that feels good for the user, that works instantly. That's the stage Spring is in now, and sort of the branch out of that, which is sort of how we scale Spring. Or at least the most important part, in my opinion, the trading is going to be first, right? So
that's amazing, and it's also like interesting to see how Spring has made it easy to invest into the earliest rounds in Web3, but now also with launching first, it will also be easier and more liquid to trade in the early stages in the private market. So I think it's going to be huge and exciting times ahead.
Absolutely. And just to touch on that, like So everyone can understand, the main difference is between investing and trading, or investing and being able to trade, is that let's use any early stage platform for investing. You can say Echo, Spring, Legion, doesn't matter. When you invest in a project that has a vesting schedule. Let's say that vesting schedule is 4 years, right? The issue then is your money is tied up for 4 years, right? So
that's a problem.
That is a problem, because you don't have any liquidity to sort of reinvest into new projects, to help new innovators, right? So the real struggle isn't right now in the space investing. There are plenty of options for investing. In fact, it's really a lack of supply right now in the private market, where there aren't any, like, the number of good deals launching aren't enough. So it's not a problem of the demand side, it's a problem of the supply side. But also, like, if we were to say there was a demand side problem, the demand side problem is people are locked up for many years. So it's only so much money I can deploy into early stage investments, right? So how do we solve that is the main question. And that's where trading comes in. Trading makes it possible for you to exit your position in the middle of a vesting schedule by selling your allocation to someone else, right? So, and the question then is, why would someone else buy it? Because they can buy it at a discount. So it's really a simple thing when you think about it, but it's hard to make scale. With that said, when you have it, it's very hard to go back, right? So if I ask you, like, right now, if you had to choose between two investments, one where you're stuck with it for 4 years, and another where you can have the option, you don't have to sell or trade, but you have the option to do so if you want, which one would you choose, right? It's sort of a no-brainer.
And it's also cool to touch upon, like, with Spring, early stage trading has been possible inside of these locked groups. Would you mind touch upon, like, how Spring has done that? Because on Spring there has actually been quite OTC volume with 336 million in volume traded, and over like 22,000 trades happening inside of these locked groups. So it's quite unique, but it's how will Spring go from this locked kind of OTC trades to first where we have this liquid trading?
I think that's a good point. Trading does exist at Spring. It exists within communities. So let's say we have clients like Nexus Fusion Capital or Kinetic Collective. There are many different partners we have, and the Mocha brands. Some of these clients have trading within their communities. So let's say I have a community of 50 people. I can enable trading. Those individuals can trade between each other. And that's when you say 22,000 trades, those are the trades we're talking about here. So in this closed environment, we had 22,000 trades. So, like, what if this trading was available for anyone, right? What if you could go to CoinGecko, or you could go to Binance, look at your favorite token, your favorite altcoin, and then have a place where you can buy it for a 30% discount or 20% discount. That is what trading means for the end user, right? How we get it to scale with first is we remove all the friction. So I'll sort of run down a list of some things that'll sort of address the scaling issues. First thing is, first is going to be a DEX. So there's no counterparty. You trade in the DEX, and that means also you don't have to KYC. So that's the first element. The barrier to entry is lower. We are using MPC wallets as the login infrastructure. So you can log in with your Gmail and we'll spin up a wallet for you, and you can have gasless trading. That means you don't have to connect third-party wallets. We have experienced a lot of issues with this on mobile, etc., from users.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that alone will be a really good thing for the onboarding. Third point is, very important point, we will have partial fills, which means that let's say you have a $5,000 allocation. The issue right now in Spring, in the trading in the groups, is that I have to buy exactly 5,000 if that's what you have for sale, right? Imagine I only have 2,000 in my balance. I should be able to buy 2,000, right? But I can't. So that's another thing. Partial fails makes it smoother so that it's easier to purchase with different amounts. And then the biggest thing, the absolute biggest thing, is that it's going to be instant. It is going to be instant. So what that means, and this is sort of, it sounds a little crazy, but any locked allocation can be sold with a market buy or sell. So you know how you go to Binance, you click market and you click sell? You will be able to click sell just like that, just with your locked tokens. And so the real question is, how the hell is that possible?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it sounds sort of too good to be true, but we can get into that as well.
Yeah, that's really nice. And to just break it down, if you were to explain first to your mom, how would you do it?
I would say first makes it possible to buy your favorite tokens at a discount. So every time you're looking for a token, you should go to first and check if you can get it for 20-30% cheaper. Yeah. And for that's how I would explain it to my mom. Now, if my mom was a VC manager, I would say first is the place where you can make your entire private portfolio liquid.
That's nice, because you have these two sides on first that benefits from this trading.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, think of it like this. The early stage investors invest at a very low price, but they take a lot of risk, right? VC funds are what make innovation possible, and they invest with an expectation of a return. So it's not charity. You cannot expect these people to put money into something and then not expect anything back, right? And they take a lot of risk. Early stage VC funds lose much more than they win. It's just a fact. In crypto, even more so, right? So for every 20 bets they place, they might win one, right? But that one might win big. And this is why it's hard for regular people to navigate these early markets. But my point here is that because they invest early, they have a really low cost basis. So for example, a VC fund might invest in a project at $1, right? They might wait for a long time, maybe 1 year, 2 years until the project launches. So that's also something to take into consideration. But after it launches, after 2 years, now it launches at $100 on an exchange, right? So what happened now is that sort of you have this early stage investor who's buying at $1, and then you have the retail, the public buying for $100 since the demand is so suppressed. And the main reason the demand is suppressed is because of vesting schedules, because how these tokens launch, in essence, how it works is just a small portion of the tokens become tradable. It's what we call low float, right? So the circulating supply is quite low compared to the total supply. And so as a result of that, the amount of tokens aren't that many for people to trade. So when there aren't so many tokens, the price goes up, right? So if I have one apple here and then we're super hungry, both of us, then the bidding war for that apple is going to go pretty high, right? But if there are 500 apples, well, then it's more apples for everyone. Your willingness to pay goes down. So it's really a supply crunch. And yeah, the main roadblock here is that the discrepancy between the 1 and the 100 is too big.
And there are no marketplace for this right now.
No.
And that's the key.
Exactly. There is no marketplace for this right now. There is no way for the $100 and the $1 buyer to meet in the middle at 50, right? Because think of it like this. If you would tell that person buying on the exchange, hi, would you buy for $50 instead? He would say yes right away, right? But at the same time, if you say to the VC fund, hi, you have to wait 4 years to get liquid, you know what I mean? Would you instead take half the price, like say a 50% discount, but get liquid fully now? Then the answer is also yes, right? So this is sort of how first works is both sides compromise, they meet in the middle, and you get a higher price floor and price discovery that in the end becomes more sustainable for the project, because you don't have unlocks hitting the market every month, sort of pushing the pressure, the price downwards.
That's amazing and real innovation right there. So let's dive more into this innovation, how it technically work. So how would you describe the journey for like VCs with their allocations? How these allocations end up being tradable, and how we make these tradable inside of First.
Yeah. So currently in Spring, we have a centralized cap table. That's how we keep track of things. Whenever a trade happens, the ownership changes to a new person in that cap table. The VC manager can track all of that. In First, everything is going to be decentralized. And so how it works is that every deal on Spring, every deal on First that is trading is backed by a SAFT, right? So the SAFT is a simple agreement for future tokens. It can also be a safe, sort of a different contract standard. But the point is, these are agreements that are directly with the projects. So the projects at some point raised money. They signed an agreement directly with a VC fund. Those assets are what we are making tradable. And how we make it possible is we convert it into what we call mirror tokens. So first, we verified that the SAFT is legitimate. So this sort of a prerequisite here is that we have an agreement with the project. No listing on First will ever be possible without the project sanctioning it and approving it. So after that is done, we sort of verify the details of the SAFT. Let's say if it's a $500,000 SAFT. And then what we do is we convert that SAFT into mirror tokens. So mirror tokens are ERC20 tokens that are one-to-one representative with the future tokens that are being released in the SAFT. And so how it works is, let's say you are the VC. Now you get $1,000 worth of mirror tokens. Every month, the project now sends tokens to a claiming contract. So, in the SAFT, it says you should get tokens over 2 years, right? Those tokens are now sent to a claiming contract on First, and then you can use your mirror tokens to claim the real tokens. And so, in essence, the mirror token is like an IOU for the real tokens, but it makes the asset fungible and tradable. So you can, and divisible, right? So you can sort of trade parts or fractions of a SAFT.
And it's like, as we talked about, making this marketplace available for everyone, and to meet in the middle is such a nice way of democratizing access and making it possible for everyone to invest. And you also mentioned the importance of the project in this. Would you dive more into how the project's benefits of being part of this as well, and how we help project?
Yeah, so the projects are crucial. The reason why is that we need to verify that the SAFTs are legitimate, but also we have agreements that protect the investors because of a lot of variables that happen in Web3, which is, and this is quite normal, which is that there are changes to token prices in the middle of a sort of 2 years after you invested in something. Suddenly the SAFT is amended or token prices change. There's changes to the vesting schedule, and there are even refunds, right? So you invest in something, imagine, you wait 3 years, and then suddenly the project decides that, you know what, I know you invested 3 years ago, I know TG is coming up, but we have to refund you, So all of these things are variables that create risk for the investor, right? Where we cannot expose the investors for this kind of risk. So we cannot have trading, or we can, but we're not willing to have trading unless it's sanctioned by the project, and we have verifications that none of these variables will become possible. So we have specific agreements to protect the investors. And then it's like, so what is the benefit for the project? Why should they do this, right?
And also, like, we enable the trading post TGE is a key distinction here.
Absolutely. And the main challenge for project post TGE is the low float high FTV problem.
Exactly.
It's that you launch on $1 billion market cap or FTV, but only 10% of your tokens are trading, and then you have this slow death.
Slow death. Yeah.
For the next 2 years, because unlocks are hitting the market. And so the question you have to ask yourself is, how do you stop these unlocks for hitting the market? You can't blame the VC funds for selling. They invested with the intent to make money, right? And they have no other way to get liquid, right? So what should they do? Should they just hold on while other VCs sell? It's capitalism, right? So the solution is first. So the solution is having an avenue, having a way for these VC funds to sell if they want to. And that doesn't mean they should sell. I'm just saying they can sell in the private market so that the cost basis isn't $1 anymore. It can go up to $50 as the example we mentioned earlier. So first, remove sell pressure for projects. It makes it more sustainable. It increases the price floor. It removes a lot of the lower cost basis of early investors. But also, in addition to that, we also provide fees for the project. So, usually exchanges, typically public exchanges, are they extract a lot of value from the entire ecosystem, really. It's really sad to watch. If you talk to a lot of projects, they'll tell you this to your face, that they require so many tokens, they require so much USDC. You have all these mechanisms that also push the token price down, and there's plenty of data supporting this. We're trying to flip that the other way around, where you get rewarded for working with us. So on every trade, we give 0.5% back to the project of those SAFT allocations and of the USDC in the trade. So what that means is the project actually earns revenue. It doesn't pay, it earns revenue from making early rounds tradable. And these are tokens that are given to the project for them to burn, for them to redistribute to the ecosystem, etc. Right?
That's really nice. And since this is happening post TGE and we see these high launches and then the slow death, as you mentioned, it's kind of a painkiller instead of a vitamin, because it's not just a nice to have, it's really solving the problem they see on these launches. And now that it's TGE season, it's kind of the perfect timing.
you see this. I have conversations with a lot of founders of these top projects, and you can really tell the difference between a founder that just has their TG in 6 months, or the vesting unlocks in 6 months, and one who just had the unlock start last month. The urgency is quite different. Once you see the unlocks hit the charts and you see the on-chain data on Dune or Nansen of how the behavior is from these early investors, that's when you as you said, the painkiller, you realize you have to act, right? But first isn't going anywhere. We are open to early and late adopters. And in the end, I think will be the solution that solves the scaling of altcoins. Altcoins are uninvestable. They're uninvestable. You cannot invest in something when you know the immense sell pressure that is there for the next 1, 2, 3 years, right? We have to solve that. Otherwise, we're in alt season right now, and it doesn't really feel like it, you know? And the reason is these flawed mechanics where we sort of relied for so long on just there being more buyers than sellers. But right now we have to fix the underlying mechanisms in these structural, this tokenomics, so to speak.
Yeah, because we see retail users don't want to touch fundamentally good projects and altcoins, like you mentioned, and instead they go on pump fund or investing into these meme coins, and it's just more of a lottery ticket. Let's just try this. I don't know what it does, but it seems fun.
And you can't blame them either.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's like Milad said it great in his token presentation, where at some point you realize the system, it sort of feels rigged, right? Where how is it that every time I invest in something, someone else invested it at 50x cheaper price, and they are always the first to sell, and no one's doing anything about it, and you lose every time it's not working. And that's why people prefer to have a lottery ticket. At least then you have a fair chance. But again, that also is sort of misconstrued construed, because it's not really a lottery ticket when 99% of the meme coins are also with insiders or with sort of bundled, So the problem is early stage investors can't get liquid. Regular people can access fair prices. How do you solve that? That's the problem, and you need to figure out how to solve that. And the solution, in my opinion, is not meme coins. I mean, there is a place for meme coins. I believe in cultural tokens, but it has nothing to do with altcoins.
Yeah.
Altcoins for me are tech companies who use tokens as a standard, who are building the future of a tokenized world.
And it's like when I'm talking with my friends, and they're like, hey, this is a project with fundamentals. It has revenue. It has everything. Why is the price going down? And it's like, but have you looked at the tokenomics, and have you looked at the vesting schedules, and have you seen the dump pressure these projects are upon? It's insane to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is all great. Spring will solve a fundamental problem in the space we have today. But if I'm a founder, a VC, or a retail investor, how do I get started on first? How can I take advantage of all of this?
Yeah. So we have a lot of existing clients. All of those existing clients who store their cap tables in Spring, they'll have a really easy way to migrate. So it's sort of, you click a button and we turn your cap table into mirror tokens. But obviously it's dependent on which projects we list on first. So not every project is going to be listed on first. We're exclusively working with top tier projects. But let's say we have a project that is top tier and one of our clients have an allocation there. They click one button and they can sort of migrate. When it comes to external investors, external VC funds, super simple. You get in touch with us. We explain to you how we convert it into mirror tokens. We explain to you how safe it is, how it works in practice. And all we sort of need to have then is an agreement with the project. And usually VC funds know the project, right? So this helps us. I mean, we know a lot of projects directly as well. But when we have 2, 3, 4, 5 VC funds who tell the project, hey, this is good for us, it'll be good for the users, can we work together on this? Obviously, it helps fast track the process. So yeah, that's how it works for VC funds. For projects, it's a little, I mean, we have higher requirements, right? We're not going to list every project. We're only listing projects that are top tier, that already have launched, right? This is not a pre-market, it's the first ever vesting market. So you have to have launched. And you have to be willing to work with us to scale this to your community. Because there's no better audience for the project's token than the project's community, right? So exactly. What you would want to do, or I'd hope, is give your community the opportunity to buy your token at a more fair price, and while at the same time getting the earliest investors out, right? So with projects, we're very open to working with top tier projects. There are so many benefits to being listed on Spring, be it reducing sell pressure, earning revenue, creating opportunities for your community. I think that summarizes it.
That's amazing. And it's like, for the projects listing on first, it's like you get your core audience, your core investors, to get in on a lower price that will be with you for the sake of maybe the whole vesting schedule. And then on the other side, you get to you get your VCs out of the cap table on a more sustainable way, instead of having this huge dump pressure on the market.
And you also get Spring already has 200,000 investors, right? And so we are incentivizing all of those people to migrate to First. And these are not just regular users. These are actual experienced early stage investors who in total, by the way, have invested more than $400 million through all of these different VC funds that are our clients. So these are not just regular users. These are actual users who invest in the private market, who are familiar with vesting schedules, right? Who are more experienced in researching. So yeah, it's not you bring your own community, but you also get the distribution that Spring has built over the last 4 years.
Exactly. That's nice. And for the investors coming on and trading on First as well, it will be some huge projects. And yeah, it's exciting. We're lined up some good ones. So that's yeah, looking forward to share more on that soon. Yeah, and also it's nice to touch upon first points. That's an interesting part. Let's dive into some of the things with first points and yeah, the benefits it might have and how traders can earn first points.
Yeah. So we can't go too deep into it today, but I'll give.
It's nice with an example
yeah.
and see how it will work and
yeah.
pan out.
So for a long time, we wanted to create value for our users. With this transition, one thing we're doing is we're rewarding all Spring users who have invested in deals, who have traded with first points. The same applies for doing particular actions inside of the trading, inside of the DEX. So when you do trading related activities or sort of activities that encourage growth, we reward you with points. The exact utility of the points, I cannot share. We cannot share just yet. What I will say is that the goal of the points is to create value for users. Sort of it's a way for us to reward the loyalty of all, because it's not just the users, it's the VC managers, it's the project, it's all of these people who have made it possible for us to come sort of reach this stage, right? And obviously all of the people who are early adopters of the DEX when it goes live. So that's what I'll say about that.
Exactly, and it's so like evident that we've been working in the private market for the last 4 years, and all has been leading up to launching First. Yeah, it is exciting to have like such a fundamentally good retail product. Yeah, and also the referrals system is a huge one for me, at least. It's like rewarding people for getting traders into the platform, and it's sort of a new revenue stream for the traders as well, and KOLs that can come in and sort of make First even scale even more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is a really important topic. Inherently, the private market is more limited. The assets you're trading are more limited. So it's not like you can just buy, if you buy enough Bitcoin, you can just start your own exchange, right? These assets we're talking about are pretty limited in supply. They're hard to get. It requires a lot of research time, etc. So there is a premium to sort of getting access to these investment opportunities. And because of that, sort of First or Spring charged around 6%, 5% in trading fees. Some of that went to the VC fund, usually half. The other half went to Spring. On First, we're reducing it to 3% in terms of trading fees. And the reason we are doing it, not reducing, the reason we have 3% is that we want to reward all the ecosystem participants. We have to reward market makers. We have to reward the projects. We have to reward the VC funds. We have to reward the people who are referring. And the end result, luckily for all of these market participants, is that the pie becomes pretty big or your slice becomes big because the fee is high. And so I'll give an example with the referrals for influencers or for regular people. If you invite your friend, we get 0.5% fee rebates for every buy in USDC, which means that it's more than probably 10 times more, 20 times more what you would get from an exchange in some cases, right? So 0.5%. For every $100, you get 50 cents in rebated. So yeah,
that's a pretty big revenue stream for the traders as well. That's insane. Yeah, and I'm curious also, which feature are you most excited about when it comes to the launch of First? And is there any like particular feature you're like, this is the one? This is like, oh, I'm so excited for this to launch.
So the last week I've worked especially close with the market makers and like figuring out exactly how we should set up the discount curves and how much liquidity is going to be needed for the different pairs, etc. And I'm realizing more and more now every day how insane it will be when you have a locked allocation, right? That is locked for 4 years, and you can click one button, and then you have USDC, and you can withdraw that USDC, right? It's like almost unfathomable for any early stage VC out there, any early investor. I mean, you always have had two portfolios. You had your private portfolio and your public portfolio. And then the private portfolio has been limited maybe to OTC trades in those Telegram channels,
yes,
right? Or maybe OTC of a SAFT as a whole, right? I'm selling my entire SAFT. But then you have to find a buyer that can buy a $200,000 ticket, a $500,000 ticket. Now, you don't have to deal with anyone. You don't have to do anything other than import your allocation. And then it's our job to ensure the market is liquid enough. You know what I mean? And that the discounts are fair enough. And obviously, we don't control this necessarily manually. It's based on supply and demand. But like, again, to summarize it, the moment you can have an asset with a 4-year vesting schedule that you sell instantly with a click of one button by logging in with your Gmail, after logging in with your Gmail, I think that's going to be what I'm most... I think that's the biggest wow moment.
Yeah, and it's such a good point. Like, for me personally as well, you have like this live token portfolio you're investing in, and then you have this private pool of tokens you're investing in. So and with the private allocations, you need to be a bit careful. You need maybe you invest in 2, 3, 4 projects a year because you know it's a long vesting schedule. You have to really be patient with this. And if it's one thing crypto investors don't have, it's patient. and now you're like, with First, we're opening up and making the private market liquid for the first time in history. So now you can sort of like merge these two portfolios, and it will be become like such easier to trade in the private market. So that's really huge.
And the bigger, so I'm not saying you can have a $60 million SAFT or early stage allocation and click one button and sell it when we launch the first day, right? Just to manage expectations here, there are some limitations when we first launch in terms of size, but it will be enough to cover the vast majority of orders. And as we scale, the first thing is, does it work? Yes, it will work regardless. But the next step then is, how do you scale it to become bigger? Well, then you need more VC funds to import more SAFTs. You need more market makers to supply more USDC. as long as you can make it work with, let's say, orders of 50K, 100K, 200K, you know what I mean? It's much easier to scale, and it proves for regular people that, hey, this actually works. It is safe to import my SAFT. You know, the projects does see the benefits, so they push it even harder to their community. And that's sort of the way this scales, is we prove that it works, just like we prove trading works within communities. And then we figure out how we incentivize all market participants to help grow it further.
That's a good point. And also rewinding a bit, like if you're a VC, you don't have to sell the whole allocation as well. So that's also a key part. Like if I'm a VC, I can just take a bit of a profit and then ride the wave with the rest. So yeah, it's amazing how we can do this in a flexible way of both or all parties involved, and this flywheel where everyone wins, essentially.
I sort of predict that over time, as First gets more projects trading, what'll happen is VC funds will sort of just import all their allocations into mirror tokens, at least everything that's live, because all that happens is you get mirror tokens, and mirror tokens gives you one-to-one claims for real tokens, right? So if you don't do anything, well, every month you just go and use your mirror tokens to claim. It's just like getting tokens from the project. Usually then you have to claim as well, you know? So nothing changes other than the fact that if you want to sell, you can. You know what I mean? You always have the option to sell. So in a world where in this scenario, I don't have the option, and in this scenario, I do have the option, and it's safe, you know, as long as you can verify it's safe, the contracts are audited, it's provably working, and we know it's working. It's more that you need the public perception to sort of also validate that. Then I think people will start doing that, because then you'll always be liquid, whether it's your private or public portfolio. So
that's nice. And also to add on that, like if you're a VC and import your portfolio and make it tradable, you also earn fees. So it's like the VCs earn fees, the project earn fees, and the referral, the traders earn fees. So it's like, again, this flywheel that just keeps on giving and giving and making sure it's liquid and tradable. That's fantastic.
Let's do an example where I have a $500,000 SAFT. I sell it to you for $500,000. Let's make it simple. The moment that trade is completed, I got my $500,000. The deal is over. How it works in First is you import your $500,000 SAFT, you sell it, you list it for sale for $500,000. After it's listed for sale, it's owned by a bunch of different people. But now, for the next 4 years, you earn 0.5% in fees on every single trade that happens in that pair. So you get royalties. Think of it like royalties. And why? Because you did the work of researching, waiting.
You took the risk.
You took the risk, right? So one thing is you should be rewarded for whatever you sell it for. The other thing is you should be rewarded for any speculation that happens on top of it. And again, this is only possible because we charge a 3% fee, and we're not hoarding all of that for ourselves. We want people to import. We want people to get rewards and be incentivized, and that's how we think we will scale.
Perfect flywheel. So zooming out a bit, where do you see like the DeFi space and First in a year from now?
So I would say DeFi is going forward. We are building the UX and onboarding for our apps. The UX is getting better. I think MPC was a big part of that. Gasless transactions. A big problem has really always been wallets connecting to third-party websites. You know what I mean? Especially on mobile. It doesn't work for regular people. They don't have the patience. But when I can use my finger or my thumb or my passkey, right, or my Gmail, and then a wallet is spun up for me, it sort of becomes super easy to use a lot of apps. So I think that's one thing that's good in DeFi now. Obviously, the tokenomics things are still broken. We're trying to fix that. I think that will be a big change. You know, once the market proves itself and you realize you can get instantly liquid, I do believe that prices for altcoins will stabilize in a way where people will have more trust in them again. Because it's not that it's not capital in the market, it's that the capital isn't flowing into these tech companies and altcoins. So there will be a shift. And I think, you know, countries like right now we're in New York, and you can feel the energy here.
Yeah.
The love for crypto here is immense. I think the government, the SEC, how we see it now, I think we're moving in a direction where stable coins are going to be more widely adopted, where sort of ETFs are becoming a bigger narrative, and the private equity and a lot of these private firms are getting exposure to crypto that aren't able to invest directly, right? Who invest through MicroStrategy or other means. So yeah, I mean, overall bullish crypto, and I think for altcoins and DeFi, I think the bottleneck is tokenomics.
Yeah,
that's my honest take. I mean, I still invest on the side, but yeah, all I can see is upcoming unlocks. That's all I think about, you know, and how to remove them. And I don't think I'm alone, you know what I mean? Honestly, I don't think I'm alone. I think you either are aware of this and you don't invest, or you're sort of in the process that you're waiting to get screwed.
Yeah.
So that's the two scenarios, honestly.
That's why you should be bullish first and DeFi.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I really feel like for all of these years, it has been built such tons of infrastructure in Web3. You have all of these chains, all this infrastructure. Now it's like getting these apps to really work, to really feel like it's Web2, to feel like you can use it in everyday life. And that's also what we're aiming to do with First, and how it will feel. You sort of remove like all of the blockchain and the complexities around being on chain. So that's like, for me, that's a huge win, and like that's how you onboard retail and the masses to use these blockchain rails. So that's a massive one. And yeah, you said it. We're in New York now. What a city!
What a city, man.
Busy days now. Now in New York, we're flying to Singapore tomorrow.
Yes, going to Singapore. We also have been looking at, I mean, we're moving to New York. We just they're building our office right now. We'll probably share some videos of that on X.
Building the office and the app.
Yes, building the office and the app. And yeah, we're looking for places to live. Obviously, this city is incredible. Oslo. I think we're ready to move on to the next step. We have a lot of clients here, a lot of partners here as well. So yeah, I think we're ready for New York. Now, very shortly, we'll be ready for Singapore as well.
That's great. Token 2049 will be amazing, and will be great to connect with a lot of clients and also potential projects.
Absolutely.
So looking forward to that. And first we'll launch November 3rd. That will be a huge one. And you can actually now sign up already to the whitelist on first.app. So I would recommend investors eager to see more go on first.app. Anything you want to add at the end?
Well, I have just 4 small things. If you like discounts to your favorite tokens, you should go to First as a user. if you want to get liquid as a VC fund, you should go to first. If you want to reduce sell pressure and you want to create more sustainable token economy for your project, you should go to first. And yeah, if you want to work with us, get in touch. We have all these participants in the market. We rely on every one of them. And so, yeah, that's my final call out. And probably we're hiring as well, I guess. So, yeah, if you think this stuff is exciting, reach out to us. There's a lot of building happening on our front right now. So, yeah.
Yeah, and the feedback from clients, investors, everyone has been amazing when we have talked about first and how we sort of will scale trading in the private market. So, yep. Yeah, amazing feedback and exciting for what's to come.
Absolutely.
That's great. And yeah, also make sure to check us out on X. We'll share more there. First_app. So yeah, a lot of announcements, a lot of updates coming your way. And yeah, see you in the next pod.
Thank you, Haakon.
Thank you. Been a pleasure.
Pleasure as always.